Hello again, everybody. My name is Eric Rudis, and this is my Week 2 discussion topic, Public Administration Concepts. The topics that I'll be covering, as we will all be covering, is Wilson's dichotomy, Taylor's scientific management, Gulick's PosCorp, Weber's bureaucracy, Follett's leadership, Simon's bounded rationality. The first topic I'm going to discuss is President Woodrow Wilson's dichotomy of public administration and politics. Wilson felt that public administration and politics needed to be separate, and he was an ardent proponent of making public administration a distinct academic discipline. In his essay entitled The Study of Administration in 1887, Wilson stated that a field of business must be removed from the hurry and strife of politics. In other words, Wilson felt that in order to use public administration effectively, it needed to be shielded from the whims of political figures. Wilson felt that there were 4 reasons why the science of administration should be. 1, it straightens the path of government, makes it businesslike, strengthens its organization, and crowns its dutifulness. In other words, by straightening the path of government, or in this case, public administration, it's easier to understand for the people to use, and their duties are clear and concise. Make it businesslike means it makes it very objective, and there's no interference either way, and that one way is always the way. Strengthen its organization to keep up with the demands of the public in order to crown its dutifulness, or essentially showcasing its authority and what it can do for the people. An example of Wilson's dichotomy is the fact that a public administrator, i.e. someone that works for the Social Security office or any other public administration field, will not be involved in any kind of political debate or will never be interviewed by the media about political machinations, because as a public servant, they are beyond or above the political strife that they encounter. Taylor believed that all workers were motivated by money, so he promoted the idea of a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. In other words, if a worker didn't achieve enough in a day, they shouldn't get paid as much as somebody else. Essentially, it boils down to, if you show your workers that if working hard will reap their benefits, then those workers will try harder to improve themselves and thereby improve your own productivity. Taylor had 4 principles: replacing work by rule of thumb, or simple habit and common sense. Instead of doing it like this is the way we've always done it, Taylor said, let's look at a method of how to do this and to make it much more efficient. And then instead of simply assigning workers to just any job, match a worker to a job based on their capabilities and their motivation, and often to their skills. Monitor worker performance and provide instructions and supervision to ensure that they're using the most efficient ways of working. Essentially monitoring working performance, or HR today, managing work hours or man hours. How does an employee function? What do they do? How are they productive during a day? Is a present example of how Taylor's scientific management is still in use. And then finally, allocate the work between managers and workers so that the managers spend their time planning and training. Essentially, a manager's job is to supervise. A manager should not have to also do the worker's job. The point is to have the worker and the manager work co-efficiently so that the worker does their job and the manager can also supervise that worker and can take care of other upper management issues that may arise. The first step, planning. Managers need to plan. Managers need to map out what workers should be doing and how they should be doing it. Organizing also means allocating each task for the respective departments and their employees, so everybody knows what task is first, what task is next, and so on and so on. Staffing. Make sure that each department or employee is staffed in the appropriate department to make sure that the work that needs to be done is done. Directing. Of course, the manager needs to direct their staff in the performance of their duties. Coordinating means working with other departments along with their managers and their workers to help with the workforce. Reporting. Without reporting, there's no evidence that any of this is being efficient. So Gulick postulated that in order to effectively show that the evidence is working, reporting is absolutely necessary. And budgeting. any organization relies on financial support or income in order to properly pay your employees and make sure that they have the right equipment, then the budgeting also needs to be properly done as well too. Gulix PosCorp is essentially in any business that you go into, but in my personal experience in the Marine Corps, this was basically one of the things that we did on everything. We planned, organized, we made sure staffing was there, and then we directed the Marines in what they were supposed to do. We would coordinate with different units, different people, and then the reporting would go up based on situation reports or daily reports to the higher command saying this is what's working, this is what's not working, here's our situation, and of course the budgeting. We would always need money to make the trucks go and make sure that we had the equipment to fix them should they break. Weber's bureaucracy. Weber postulated that the theory of bureaucracy has 5 key principles: hierarchical structure, management by rules, organization by functional specialty, purposely impersonal, employment based on technical qualification. These 5 principles, a hierarchical structure, a management team or a higher echelon that's designed to support the employee. Management by rules. Everybody needs a set of rules to work and to effectively conduct their business. Organization by functional specialty, make sure that each department is organized for their specific specialty. Purposely impersonal, make everything business-like. There's no personal feelings, there's no politics involved, just get the job done. Employment based on technical qualification. Your qualification should be based upon what your ability is to be employed in that field. Mary Follett's leadership policy, as seen on this slide, is leadership is not defined by the exercise of power, but by the capacity to increase the sense of power among those led. The most essential work of the leader is to create more leaders. Essentially, and this is something that helped me in the Marine Corps as a leader, was that just because you're a leader doesn't give you the right to lead people around. The most essential work of a leader is to create and nurture those future leaders that will eventually take your place and continue on the mission or the business's organization. Simon's bounded rationality. Human beings viewed as behaving systems are quite simple. The apparent complexity of our behavior over time is largely a reflection of the complexity of the environment in which we find ourselves. Herbert Simon basically felt that in order to make decisions, people did not often have the information they required. So, based upon their cognitivity and their information, was how they were able to define their decision-making ability. One of the things that I used in the Marine Corps was oftentimes the reports that we got in were not always accurate. So we had to take little information that we had and make decisions based on that. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes the information was there was no information and we still had to assume what we thought might happen. And that was what Simon's bounded rationality was. Based upon your capacity and your information, how well can you make a decision? These people provided the foundations of public administration and the theories and the articles that we still look at today to debate and understand how public administration works for us today. Thank you.